Hey, what's up, NOVAEO team? Green screen. Aim and Cacao are going to be playing with artificial intelligence backgrounds in the near future, so these should get a little bit spicier. No artificial intelligence shirt, Phoenix Pod. I heard about what you guys were saying in your pod integration meeting. Nope. You can't put an AI shirt on me. I refuse. Anyway, guys, so I wanted to talk about one of our core values, autonomy. This is going to be a really quick video, I hope. I think every time I say that, it ends up being long as shit. But all right, here we go. So Tiffany was relaying to me that we have a few team members that are basically they don't have enough tasking and project work to hit the 40-hour full time. Okay, so, and in historically, that's always been the case. We've seen that a lot, like literally over the years. Some people just aren't able to hit the 40 hours. But currently, I know there's at least a few people that are having that. Okay, so point number one, before I get into autonomy, is as of today, NOVAEO is not just output driven, but we're still input driven, meaning we want to hold people accountable to 40 hours a week minimum inputs if you've communicated that you want to be full-time and that's what your job offer indicated. We are going to evolve to not having an input-driven system at all. We will evolve to being output-driven, meaning if you can do a task in 5 minutes and it takes someone else an hour, well, the only thing we really care about is that it got done. So you don't just have to like fill your time frivolously. But if you want to do more and more and more, then you can, invest more and more of your time, then you can create more and more of your value. And once we have like the pod value reports and all that set up, it'll be very obvious the value that you are creating, and then you'd be able to receive more. And so even when we get to that point where we are an output-driven company or an output-driven team, we still will be tracking time, but our perspective of that time tracking is going to be different. The perspective then changes to, we will have people in the team whose sole responsibility is productivity. I mentioned this a long time ago, but imagine like if we had our own Tony Robbins in the team that is helping all of us become more and more efficient with the time that we invest. Like, to me, that's like, I can't believe other teams don't have that. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but like, to me, if like one individual can come into a team of 50 people and save and make everyone just 10% more productive, like, that's a lot of value to create. So we will be always having well, I shouldn't say always, but in my mind right now, in the vision, we will still be always like blocking out our time, not necessarily like having to click like a stopwatch and all that stuff, but you should also be aware of how much time you're investing into stuff. And a lot of times you won't be aware unless you're actually manually doing it. That's so true with myself. And if it's true with me, I know it's true with most. So anyway, that's the future. Today, we are still looking at hours because there are still, we're still evolving our culture, we're evolving our Harmony operational systems, and, some people join the team kind of like, hey, I need a job, and, they're kind of like looking at their ClickUp and they do their tasking and then they peace out. They're not participating in anything. They're not really like NOVAEO, fully absorbed into NOVAEO. And as of right now, that's fine, but like as we evolve, we want to give everyone the opportunity to be fully involved in the NOVAEO community, our culture. And for those that just are resistant to it, we'll create a separation. But anyway, so as of right now, if you're one of those people, either now or in the future, that feel like you don't have enough tasking or projects to fulfill that 40-hour mark, then this is where your ability to practice autonomy comes into play. One is most likely you know enough about your role, or you should, to understand how you could, within your role, do more, take on more, like you can figure out more tasking to take on, more projects to take on. If it's really small stuff, then just go ahead and do it and then report it. If it's bigger stuff, then it is better to communicate that through our pod integrator, which is Derek, during your pod integration meetings. Because then through Derek, the pod integrator, flows to me, which is vision and strategy. And I will make sure that whatever it is that you're thinking about working on is in alignment with bigger picture vision. Because basically what I want to avoid doing is that you invest your time and effort into something and it's out of alignment, like we're going a different direction, we're not going to be able to use that. Or we're already thinking something similar and there's actually already thought that's been invested into it, and then we can just, oh, you want to take that on? Well, okay, here, I already have notes on that, here you go. So it is good to relay anything that's going to take a little bit of time through your pod integrator, Derek, for now, to vision and strategy, and then it goes back through the pod integrator back to you. So that's number one. You should be able to come up with your own tasking. You should be able to come up with projects. But that kind of depends on your role. Some of you guys are in roles where things are obvious. Some of you guys might be in roles where things might not be obvious. So that's one. Two would be learning more tools, especially AI. I know, like, months ago, we must have sounded like a broken record, like AI, but there's a reason for that. There are currently teams with like 5 or 6 people that are actually doing more than what our team of, I forget how many people we have like 50, 60 people, because they've fully embraced technology, and we're still just not really there yet, to be honest. So, you know, we're more progressive than a lot of companies out there, but we got to be like at the top, and NOVAEO is supposed to be one of the most progressive teams out there, so we got to catch up to the people that are already ahead of us and then go way beyond them. And we're only going to do that if we are autonomously teaching ourselves how to be better within our role. That's part of personal responsibility that I was talking about yesterday in Slack. So, yeah, learning tools that support your role, or just in general. I mean, everyone can become more apt with ChatGPT. That literally affects every single role. ChatGPT, Google Bard is still kind of like, I don't know, that Google's kind of fallen behind on the chatbot thing. Claude 2, that's in Notion. All these are available. So become better at least that. If you know nothing else, then at least that. If you don't feel like doing that, then just do like a YouTube search, or actually even a ChatGPT search for, you know, AI tools, and then talk about the role that you have. What are your responsibilities? And ask about what AI tools are out there that you should learn. Like literally ask ChatGPT, like you're talking to a person. What tools are out there, especially artificial intelligence or, you know, like new technology tools are out there that will help me with product sourcing or accounting or customer service or, you know, design, copywriting, blah, 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 whatever. So learning AI tools, that's one. And so you build yourself a ClickUp task, and then you would assign time to that. Another thing that you can be doing is podcasts and books and that kind of stuff. So if there's stuff that's out there that fits your role, which, I mean, really there should be for every single role, then find the influencers and the information people that, you know, are speaking your language, not literally, but well, I guess maybe literally too. And you know, absorb what they have to offer and put that in your ClickUp. You know, I watched this, you know, 2-hour podcast. So I listened to this 2-hour podcast on blah, 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 blah. But the thing is if you're doing this, if you're putting tasking in your ClickUp about your learning, so whether it's AI tools or podcasts, YouTube videos or whatever, you got to attach notes in there. Because, I mean, honestly, if you're investing yourself into learning, then you got to take notes. I mean, we've all been through school. I'm sure school is different for all of us, but like we've all been through school, and I'm sure one of the common similarities is you have a teacher there standing and talking to you, and no matter how much you think you might be absorbing, as soon as you go and like change your brain to something else an hour later, it's like that information is lost forever. You know, you come back to that same class a few days later, and you're like, ugh, what? Completely forget everything. So understand your human biological limitations of absorbing information and being able to process it in the, I forget the different parts of the brain. Well, you know, basically like you have your short-term memory, and then you go through a processing cycle, and then eventually you can embed that into your long-term memory. This is biology. And so part of that process is taking notes. And actually it's even better to handwrite notes, but that's fine if you're doing Google Docs or whatever too. So anyway, do that stuff and then attach that into your ClickUp. And then during your pod integrations, make sure, even if you're not in the pod integration yourself, make sure the pod lead is aware of the stuff that you've been tackling and be sharing that knowledge. So now we're moving from autonomy, where you are on your own, growing yourself within your role, you're growing your skill set, you're growing your abilities. Then we move into community, where you start sharing that knowledge. That's part of our community core value is sharing that knowledge. And maybe without even anyone communicating like a promotion or anything like that in your role, you basically promote yourself in a different way by becoming a mentor. Anyone can become a mentor. All you have to do is know more than other people about a particular thing. Not like in general, you have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to know something that other people don't that is of value. And you start teaching people that, and you will casually become a mentor, and you will be known as a mentor, and that will increase the value that you also receive from NOVAEO. Now, I know Harmony doesn't have a system yet for valuing being a mentor, but it will be noticed, and it will be noted, it will be appreciated, and eventually that'll turn into actual like dollars value that you'll receive for becoming a mentor. So take those notes, talk about what you learned, talk about how you think it can be implemented. Or just like basically start a conversation. Maybe you're not like totally sure how it could be implemented, but it could be like, hey, I learned this, this, and this. Even if like if you take the time, like if you spend 45 minutes to learn a tool and you realize that the tool sucks, that's still worthwhile because maybe someone else is going to come across that tool and be like, oh yeah, it looks interesting, and maybe you can save them 45 minutes of not learning that tool because it's not going to work. So anyway, yeah, make sure that ends up in ClickUp. Take your notes. Create conversation, communicate, and be autonomous. All right? Sweet.